Hi guys, I'm Scratch, and today I'm going to be talking you through how to create a theme in your builds by giving you a walkthrough tour of my old weapons factory. This is no longer in my save. I replaced it with my aluminium build, but I thought it was a good example of how to build up a theme. Firstly, I just want to say apologies again about my voice. I'm still not quite recovered from the cold I had last week. But I'll struggle through because I'm bored of not making any videos. So the first thing I think about when I create a theme is the story or the narrative behind a build. So if I quickly go over that for this build, and then I'll build on it as we walk around. As you can see, it's called Barter Town, and it was a fix-it location or a fix-it factory that's been taken over by kind of Mad Max Borderlands style bandits and repurposed into a weapons factory. So there's two types of buildings you'll see. There are ones that are were there beforehand and fix-it built and have kind of been repurposed in a way, or maybe their function was fine so they've been left, and ones that have kind of built up been built by the people who have taken over the base, and they're a little bit more ramshackle, a little bit more thrown up. So we'll look at that more when we go around, but this sign kind of encapsulates that, the new versus the old, the fix-it crossed out and stuff like that. These signs I built before you could rotate signs. Now you can rotate signs easily. I mean, you still don't get as many degrees as I would need to do this, so I had to use the old technique of, show you here, pin it on the end of a beam and freely rotating like that. File control I get more, but we never used to be able to do that, and I built that. All these signs before you were able to do that in the game. So if we carry on in to the entrance, we get to our first area. That's the first thing I'm going to point out on here is I've divided this build into subcategories and areas by, as you can see, the different weapon types they produce, or not, ammunition types they produce. So this is the ironworks. There's a sign for each one. It's the first one you come across, but there are several, and some aesthetic areas. So here's the rest of them. You can obviously head around there to the rest of them, but we're going to head here into the ironworks, and you go through this tunnel with the belts above you that bring all the resources out. And the first thing I want to talk about is to use what you have. Here I had the sand and stuff encroaching quite a bit into this tunnel area, and I swear this has been moved since I built it, because I think it was more here. And so I created this little dip that's obviously fallen apart since the new owners have taken over the building, and they just haven't bothered to repair it. So you have the wall falling in. You can see, if we have a look through here, the pillars fallen down and the walls broken. By the way, none of this was built with mods. This is all 100% vanilla. And yeah, you can see rock poking through and stuff like that. And you come through to the actual ironworks. This area is mostly what I would call the buildings that the new owners, let's call them that, have added. There's a few like this one that we're here to start with, and a couple in the area beginning that have kind of been remodeled. So I imagine, for me, the front of this building has been ripped off, and they've added this kind of all the conveyor belts on the outside, and changed its purpose. And then you've got all these kind of belt lines randomly running in that weren't there before, that they've have kind of retrofit, that's the word I'm looking for, into these builds. And again, they've had to like rip the fronts out of these to like fit the machines they want in to these areas, and it's all a bit higgledy-piggledy. It's all a bit messy, but that's kind of what I wanted. The reason I'd been building clean for a long time, and I just wanted to do something where I could just have fun and experiment, position the buildings in weird ways, and create different looks and styles. But a lot of these buildings, obviously, they're just frame frames and foundations, and the idea of them is that they've just been chucked in for the extra processes that the bandits or the new owners need to create the weapons that weren't here originally. So you've got a lot of this. You've got areas like this where I've tried to show that they've pried open a wall just to chuck some different resources in there. And again, this all reinforces the story of the build, to show that it had a previous owner and now it's been taken over and they've rebuilt a lot of stuff, and they've not done it in the most caring of ways. But I wanted it to look overwhelming. I wanted it to look a bit crazy. Yeah, to almost look like there was no plan, because in my mind there wasn't. They were just they've taken this over by force from Fix-It, and they've retrofitted it for their own needs, basically. So yeah, that's the ironworks area. Another nice sign there. Trying my best with pixel art, but I'm not really an artist. So yeah, you'll see a lot of that, but that's a good demonstration of the two types of buildings that you'll see. We carry on down here. We get to, sorry about the frame rate, absolutely terrible. What I've called Powder River. All the areas are named after locations in Mad Max, or just after what they make, basically. So this is just a purely kind of theming area. There's a little bit of production here. It's called Powder River because it mainly makes black powder. I'm not really going to go into the processes, but again, you can see we have a lot of just frame foundations, buildings being chucked up, lots of pipes running all over the place. I've tried to add bits of damage in places where, you know, the current owners aren't the most careful people. So you've got no supports being bent. You've got over here, we have that flooring's fallen through. But yeah, mostly just chucked up buildings that just are there for a function, basically. And again, here is something I quite like about this area. You've got the road running around here. You've got this these pipes that obviously used to have oil in them. Tried to show there's a bit of an oil leak, and I've done that by just chucking beams down here to give it like a black oil spilly look, and just bent these. Again, I'd not seen anyone do this kind of thing, so I was experimenting with, like, and I might do it in the future as well, more kind of broken and kind of well-worn factories. And I'd like to have done it more, but as this project went on, it just became bigger and bigger and bigger, and yeah, so I couldn't carry on that focus as much as I maybe would have liked to. But yeah, I quite like how this area turned out. Obviously it's an area that has no value. They didn't need these pipes anymore, so when they broke, they just didn't bother to repair them because there was no use for them anyway. But it sets the scene quite nicely, and it's again a little bit of the story that helps set that theme. I think it's very important to have, if you want a theme, have a story that or a reason for why the thing looks like that. That's gonna carry your theme through. Like if you have a company or a building or a reason for something to look like that, it will really help carry that theme through the rest of your build. And then you can add smaller story elements. Again, frame rate. So this little fishing dock that's been added with a no explosive fishing sign, little coffee cups, some bait and explosives. Little narrative bits like this just, again, help build the world, help make it feel like a real world, add that story, add that narrative, and really help sell a theme, basically. And then we'll carry on under here, under this build, and we'll go to a bigger example of that. Through here, let's just fly quicker. We'll go to, you've got Bullet Town under there where all the rifle ammo is made, but we'll go there in a bit. First we're going to go here, which is Chump Auto, or Chump Auto, mechanics kind of bay. And again, a nice little piece of storytelling here where I imagine as the trucks do in this game, they have come round this corner too quickly and careened off the road, causing damage, you know, crashing here. And again, it's just not been necessary to tidy up, so they haven't got around to it, so it's not done. This place was a nightmare, connecting all these belts at various different angles, because every building is not at the same angle and very difficult. So this building here is pure scene setting. It's a garage. You've got locations to fix different cars with the workstations. A great way of making things feel more real is to use not just the buildables but also the actual items in game, dropping relevant things around, like, you know, fuel, or I always think that looks like a little tool, some screws, color cartridges, and then having the area where you can actually come up and fix the underneath of the trucks. There. Same for the cube. And then we have our where you would go to pay for your work, or talk about, you know, what you want done. Credit. And then over here we have a store. Theft will be punished in the Thunderdome. Little teaser for later in the video there. And yeah, again, using the idea of placing down relevant items to fill out the world and give it that finer grained detail to your story. And in here we have a little waiting room where you can wait while your truck's being fixed. Broken TV, employee of the month, and then the manager's office. And here again, using little items like the supercomputer, magnum opus, and yeah, lots of little Easter egg details. Easter eggs are a great way to add that story, that narrative, that world setting, that theme to your builds. But they're also just fun. You know what I mean? It's great to have fun while you're building. This is supposed to be a game after all, not a job. If you spot any Easter eggs that I'm not talked about in the comment, drop them in the comments. Let me know how many you've spot, because I've littered them all over the place. So yeah, and we'll head into Bullet Town, where the rifle ammo is made. And again, it's a lot of like buildings that have been thrown up for the needs that weren't there originally, and some that were there originally, but have been maybe retrofitted by adding onto them, like this area here. Yeah, or repurposing completely. Hang on there a sec, I completely forgot one little area, which I was actually quite happy with, and really shows the theme really well and how you can add to it, so I thought I'd include it. So what I'm going to do is just jump through here. We're in the back of the Bullet Town. If you come out here past all these belts, we see a relic of old Fix-It. Now, to put this in context, this is kind of storytelling via the game itself, really, and I guess the meta around the game, kind of. As you can see, this is Beacon Production, and it says decommissioned. That's because as I was building this factory, beacons used to be a big part of how you made weapons. And just before I started building it, they decided that that's not going to be, they're going to remove beacons from the game. So I decided to make a little homage to that by building this little beacon factory. Now you can see I've added, well, first thing to say actually is here, how I've used the environment again to help with the build. So you can see I've used this golf ball style thing to make it look like something's crashed in and like smashed the front of the building, or the archways broken. You can see I've got them pieces of it down here, like all the walkways are all smashed up. Let's put my torch on. It's dented this conveyor belt with the beacons. You can see it's warning, product is being removed. You see the beacons coming out of here and then kind of trailing off and bending down. Again, these are all the inputs, and I just got the belts kind of bending so they go all the wrong way. And then in here, if we actually go inside, you can see the manufacturers. You can see grass and stuff poking through. So obviously, why bother maintaining an area that makes an item that, you know, no longer works, or it's no longer going to be in the game. You've got the manifold in the back here. A bit I'm quite proud of is, oh look, there's all these items strewn around. Oh, there we go. Back wall's been smashed. How? Because this lift has fallen over. So yeah, this part of the manufacturing manifold has broken away, smashed a few belts, and scattered a bunch of items all over the floor, smashed the back wall, and it's poking out the back, and you can even see there's the splitter that used to be on it. Used to using a glitch that I don't know if it works in the game anymore, where you can do this. I want to go into how. If you want me to go into how, let me know in the comments, and I'll try and make a tutorial on it if it actually works anymore. Yeah, so more scattered items. They've blocked it off a bit, but yeah, I was quite happy with how this turned out. Smashed up wall and all the conveyors and stuff all over the place. But again, it really sells the story of the place. Not only that, you know, it's beaten up and it's broken and it's destroyed, it's just the smaller details, like look, the lift has fallen over, so therefore it's smashed all these belts, so therefore it's strewn items all over the place and destroyed lots of other bits and pieces that were lying around it. The story on a larger scale, as in like about the game itself and how beacons are being removed, and also in the world itself of how this is a no longer needed factory and it's fell into disrepair, and on the micro scale of like what that disrepair looks like and how this lift has fallen over, how this golf ball thing has smashed into the front of it, and the destruction that's caused, right down to the little items being strewn about. So thought I'd include that in the video, and we'll get back to the main video now. So through here we have another storytelling area, little warehouse area that just, you know, belts just run through there, basically a little car park. Using again the natural terrain and what's already here, cordoning off this crash site. And you've got a little shop down here that sells different as a computer fixer, I guess, a gear fixer down there. I didn't mention this area, again, full aesthetics, just a big, I guess, water tower area. It's using in-game things just to think. So it's adding that narrative and adding that theme to the build by you know, putting things in that would be there in real life, like this crane that maybe he uses, that Chump uses to get parts into the factory or something like that, you know. I'll go back over here. Again, this building I see is one that was originally here, but has been retrofitted, as you can see from all the belts running higgledy-piggledy in between these two buildings. I see they've redone all the production and they've not really cared about how neat and tidy it looks. It's just there, it's just added, hence why again these are a different material, because who cares, you know, as long as it does the job, they don't really care. Again, another building that was already here, hence why it's quite neat and tidy, looks nice, and its function was fine, so they just kept it. Again, another one like that there. And over here we have what I kind of consider is, I would see as the what do you call it, housing for all the people that either live here or worked here. We've got the reds and the blues, and I imagined in my head I was going to add more to it, but again, this project just took so long that the red people and the blue people have a bit of a, you know, animosity toward each other and don't get on, and I was going to add some more evidence of that, but yeah, project got too big, so I kind of wanted to move on from it. Here we have another building that was already there. I'm not going to go into the buildings too much because you see they're pretty standard inside. Some of them, the ones that are neat and tidy, are neat and tidy, and the other ones are just crammed in. There is another thing under this way that I want to show you. This way. So again, opportunities for storytelling. Again, every building looks different because I wanted it to have that feel of this has been built up over time. It's developed as it was going, you know, like here you got the belts running through what was a warehouse. Wall's just missing because they knocked it out. You got Fifi McAfee's Caf. You've got chairs and sauces. And you've got the menu up here. I was quite happy with how this little oven turned out with the steak, the meat inside it. You've got hobs here, and then you've got the freezer with all your sauces and meats and everything you want. So adding realistic areas obviously really helps set that theme. Things that would be there in real life help sell. So maybe you've got a big factory, add a foyer with a reception desk and things like that to really sell the theme. Your theme is going to be sold by those kind of things. I mean, consistency is a big thing. I can't really obviously show that much here because it's well, I guess there is consistency. There's consistency in the ideas that these kind of buildings have been thrown up by the new occupants, the raiders, that have turned this into a weapon factory, and these ones here have been built up over time by Fixit and then repurposed for the needs of the new owners. So they are, in a way, there is consistency here. You can see the consistency in the new things versus what the factory has built up over time, and Fixit have developed this area. And each area has its own internal consistency in that this uses a certain material type, as in it uses these basic wall styles, not the concrete walls. That original area is very mostly built up new by the new owners, and then also Master Blaster Labs over there I'd see as the area that was originally that's the first factory that was here basically. And yeah, more theming on here. We have the Thunderdome that I mentioned earlier. The sign, I was quite happy with this. It was quite fun. It's the last thing I did on the build. You've got nice lighting going on. You've got the little harnesses they wear. You've even got little weapons up around the edges, and then the balcony where Tina Turner watches them fight in the Thunderdome. So right now I'm going to, if it will let me fly, come on game. Yeah, I'm not using any mods again. I'm just using the advanced game settings. The only mod I'm using is Sky UI to keep the time of day constant, but apart from that, I didn't build this with any mods. I built it completely vanilla. The only mods I'm using is just to make this a bit easier to show you. So again here, you can see that they've just thrown in refineries where they can fit them, you know, to do what they need. There's no plan, no round. It's just chucked in there basically. We'll head over here. This is the most refined area. The story behind this area is like Master Blaster is the leader. He's the guy that orchestrated this whole thing, so he's got the nicest area. He picked up the most buildings and has taken the most care in retrofitting them properly. There are still buildings here that have been placed in because they need them, and the infrastructure didn't originally exist, so they've kind of squeezed them in where they could. But say for instance this steel smeltery was fine. There's no need to change it. It runs, it produces what they need, so they just left it. It's been well maintained again, because I see this area as, this is the leader's area. He's taken some care and some time over his area because he got the most resources, he's got the most time out of anyone. Again, if you didn't guess, this produces explosives. So again, this building has probably been retrofitted, added to with bits like this. It still looks a little bit higgledy-piggledy, because again it has been retrofitted, so they've tried to take as much care as they could while doing it, because this is the boss's place. But it's still, sometimes it's just, you know, you have to have a belt running around here. They've made it as neat as possible, but you know, when you're redesigning stuff, that's just what happens, isn't it? So there are some belts that kind of randomly run around. Again, that's all into that idea of this is still being taken over. It's not a completely neat, tidy factory. They have had to do work on this. They have had to change some things. but a lot of it is been done with a bit more care and attention than the rest, because like I say, this is the boss's place, he demands the best. So it looks a little bit nicer than the rest of the areas. And there are also, it's a nicer area to be. So down here you have things like toilets. You get nice facilities even for the doggos, because you work for the boss, you get the finer things in life. And here again, another bit of storytelling. What was Fix It Mart is now Master Mart, where they've sold things. A lot of things are out of stock. You know, a lot of little signs setting the scene. And as you can see, they haven't quite got around to actually fixing this. I will take you in here at the end of the video. There is a little secret in there, but I'll show you that at the end. Stick around for that. But again, yeah, lots of little theming things. Lots of so this is a little bit neater and tidier, this area, because it's the boss's area. So it leads us back down to the train station where everything gets sent out back to the main base. So yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing that I want to impart most. Have an idea for your narrative, for your story. Think about why, down to the smallest details. You know, like I showed you in that tunnel where the plant had broken through. You know, why is that broken? What's the reason? Well, plant broke through. Maybe they weren't using this tunnel so much. They don't care to fix it. Why are the pipes broken over the river? Because again, they weren't using it, so there's no need to fix them. Have a little reason, have a little story to why things are like the way they are, and it will really help you come up with ideas. Again, like with the auto shop, the mechanics place. The inspiration for this was Mad Max. Obviously, that's very car based, so putting in a mechanics place seemed, you know, a no-brainer. Again, why is this neater? Why is this area neater than the rest of the factory? Because this is the boss's headquarters. This is where he shows his dominance. This is where everyone takes the most care and time and effort to get everything right. Whereas this area is just chucked up as and when, as they need it. You know, they don't really have the time and resources they need for that area, because it all goes over here. And so I think I'll end by running in here. While I run over, if there's anything you have questions about, let me know in the comments. I don't go over numbers and stuff in these kind of videos because I'm not really the numbers guy. There are better people on YouTube that do that. I'll keep talking as I explore this little maze. So there's no entry. I need to put my torch on. Oh no, that's the wrong button. Hang on. There we go. We got there in the end. But if you have any questions about what I'm producing, how much I'm producing, I'm happy to answer them in the comments, or any techniques I've used while I try and remember where I need to go. Not up here. Down here. Yeah, that's the one. Through here. Yeah, I create this fun little maze, which obviously it's not really much of a maze. There's only one way to get through it. It does loop around a lot. I'm still getting lost in it. Oh, there we go. Go up here. Down here. Through here. So yeah, any comments or questions, drop them in the comments. If you've liked this video, please drop us a like. Again, I'm sorry about my voice throughout this video. I've got a bit of a cold. If you want more like this, or other videos I've done will be more on the design side of stuff. I've got a video coming up for new people about how to start a save, how to think about playing the game, or lessons I've learned. I'm also thinking about doing a video for my plans for 1.0, but leaning not really just into like, you know, oh, I'm going to build a factory and I'm going to, you know, do this. Where my focuses are, why my focuses are there, what designs I'm going to be trying out, Yeah, again, possibly like adding in things I've learned from my, like, you know, couple of 1,000 hours in this game that I'm going to bring over to 1.0. And yet we'll finish. I think this is, oh no, it's not even the final door. I thought that was the final door. Oh, it is. Here you go. With the ultimate. I quite enjoy doing this. The train for Mad Max. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, drop us a like. If you want to see more, drop us a comment. And I've been Scratch, and I'll see you in the next video.